All right, guys, we're back at Hughs Detailing. Episode 1, Episode 2, you guys saw that. In this video, we're gonna be applying film onto my wife's X5. And one of the main topics we wanna talk about today is that even though it's a used 2021 X5, Brandon here is gonna be discussing why it's pretty much important to protect those high impact areas. And we already know on a white car, rock chips, pitting from the highway drives, you're gonna see that on a white car. So Brandon.
Ideally on a car like this, even though the car does have a little bit of mileage on there, it's still going to be a new car to Ken and his family. But the idea of what we're doing here is we're kind of preserving it in its current condition. So although the car does have a little bit of mileage on there, the paint and the condition of it is still really, really good. So we're trying to preserve the paint so he doesn't get more rock chips or anything like that, but that also that way he can drive this car for many years down the road and it's well protected. Now this car is gonna be a little bit different than his M3 because on his M3 we kind of did the full Monty where we wrapped the entire car, we did ceramic coating on everything, but that car was brand new. So the paint, we wanted to keep it perfect just because it had no imperfections. Where something like this, we're gonna go with a little bit less coverage, which is better suited for kind of a daily driver or a car in this condition. So we're just gonna focus mainly on the high impact areas instead of doing the whole car, which is a good balance between costs, but also just a good amount of protection without going overboard. Since this car is not absolutely perfect, there's no need to fetch for that extra bit. So in this specific one, we're gonna mainly focus on doing the high impact parts, which would be like the mirrors, headlights, the full front, which will consist of the fenders, hood, headlights, front areas of the vehicle, which is gonna be the most susceptible parts to rock chips and normal daily driving. So that's kind of be our primary focus. So besides that, by doing a kind of more of a track package or a full front protection and doing coatings on here, you're still gonna have all the benefits of like everything we did to his red M3, but at a much better price point too, so which fits something better like this. So we're doing paint protection film on the full front and high impact parts, ceramic coating on the whole car, so like all the exterior glass on top of all the film, wheels, and cleaning up the whole interior. So he's going to get a nice all-around package to keep this car looking good for years to come.
Just to add on to that, I know a lot of people always ask, hey Ken, what did you pay for the M3 to get wrapped? Everything all varies, right? Depends on what you're getting done, how big the car is, because all that material cost adds up.
Correct.
And you just have to call the guys here and get a quote and to kind of go through that process.
Yeah, correct. And it's one of those things too is that, no two cars are the same, and then client expectations are gonna be different from person to person. So, it's really best that for us to be able to see the car in person, one, so we can, see the condition of the vehicle, because for instance, even though this car is a couple years old, the amount of driving, whether it's city driving, highway driving,
Miami driving.
Yeah, the car was stored inside or outside is really gonna change how good the paint looks. So, if the car looks really good, then hey, I think it's a suitable candidate for PPF or coatings. But if it's a car that, has a lot more mileage on there and the front bumper is like really chipped up, then it's probably better to maybe have certain pieces painted, or just maybe not do film in that aspect because it might highlight certain imperfections more. But yeah, so on certain cars where it does have a little bit more imperfections, may not be as suitable for film, because the idea behind it is to protect and preserve it. But if there's a lot of imperfections, mainly on the front bumper and stuff like that, probably be better to either repaint a panel or polish and do ceramic coating. But if the paint is in really, really good condition, then it's probably a better candidate for paint protection film. Yeah,
and while Brandon works, so I'm just gonna hit him some questions and we'll get this going. One of the things that you mentioned was even though this car's not perfect, it's still a good candidate. Even right over here that I'm pointing on the hood, there is a rock chip and also it's been covered by the previous, probably from the dealership. And the main thing is you don't want this to get any worse because it becomes an eyesore.
Yep.
And as a car enthusiast like myself and also yourself, you definitely don't want that to get excess.
Correct.
Some people won't care and some people lease cars, which is fine, but this is gonna be the family mobile, and I kind of want my wife and future kids to riding in style instead of like all pitted up, Yeah,
and then on top of it too, it's gonna be a car that you own. You're gonna be keeping this for a while, so you put a little bit of money into it now, protect and preserve it, and it's gonna look great for years to come. But chances are, if you don't put any film or anything on there, you can drive anywhere, and once the front end starts to get beat up more and more and more, then you might start looking into repainting it, and then ideally you want to keep this as original as we can. So better to put a little bit of time and effort into it now, keep it looking that way, and having that peace of mind.
Absolutely. All right, so while Brandon finishes up this portion of the hood, now my wife could tailgate some truck drivers and get all the pitting she wants now. Again, it's not 100% gonna defeat every single rock chip, but it gives it a good chance.
Better than nothing.
Exactly. In the next video, we're gonna be talking about window tint. We're gonna have one of Brandon's installer, we're gonna be talking about why it's important to have some UV protectant, because it protects the interior, and also yourself, because ultraviolet rays, skin cancer is a big thing, and something you should probably look into. And we'll definitely discuss that. I know we discussed it on my G80, but if you guys are clicking this video based on the X5, then you guys may have an X5. You guys may not know all this information that we're gonna be disseminating out. I know Brendan mentioned earlier that this is one of the most economical packages, because you gotta think about a full car PPF, labor intensive, the material costs. Prep is a lot. You know, I've been here since probably 9 in the morning, and they've been prepping this car all day. And this is just for the front half of the car, right? The front clip, they call it.
Well, we're doing coatings and stuff too.
Coatings too, yes. And that's another additive time. So when you think about the total cost, right? On average, some cars may cost 10 grand to do an entire PPF. But a lot of that is time and effort, and also materials. And materials are not cheap, right? You know, the roll of this is probably
Couple grand.
a couple grand. So, and you get what you pay for. You may go to another shop out there and they're gonna be able to do a pre-cut film, which is something that you may be okay with. Me personally, I like the customization where the edges are hidden, all the seams are hidden, especially on a white car. When you do it on a white car and the seams are not hidden, you'll see the dirt pile up, you'll see the dirt edges. And I had that on my Austin LF80 because it was a lighter color. So as you can see right now, Brandon's actually using his blade to custom trace it. And this is where it's time consuming, right? It's not pre-traced. And he's taking his time to really methodically make sure that it's a custom fitted film. And this is where I mentioned earlier where it's gonna be.
This is the fun part. So if you trace it properly, you can see how the film's still attached, so it's not cut through. But then,
And that's how you do it right.
it's the proper way to do it.
And Brandon's been doing this for what? You said 8 years almost?
Yeah, July of, yeah, exactly 8 years. Oh, actually, almost 8 years, exactly.
Yeah, so he has the time and experience with this. And I was telling other people, this is like artwork, you know. Obviously, each canvas is different because it's different cars. That's why I consider it like artwork.
Not just slapping sticky shit on cars.
Yeah, slapping huge stickers on cars, right? Or saran wrap. Fake saran wrap
Pretty much.
with high clarity to it.